Okay, so I want you to take your Jungian archetypes and the innocent, the orphan, the hero, the caregiver, and I'm going to give you a quick little explanation. The explorer, the rebel, the lover, the creator, the jester. Jester is like the fool, like the one that like makes jokes to the king. The sage, the magician, and the ruler. The first three that you're attracted to. If you don't know what they mean, but you still are attracted, circle it. Don't question it. Let the subconscious pick. Another way of doing it is putting those 12, put them face down and picking 3. I mean, we're bypassing the conscious mind. That is the point. I'm going to delete this, so if you want to take a picture and tell you a little bit about a wonderful myth that I highly recommend everyone read, and the Astrology Wheel, where these archetypes come from. Because what we're going to do after is we're going to tie this to your sun, your moon, and ascendant to see which archetypes you highlighted and where they are in each of your charts. Okay, everyone got this? I don't know if we'll get to chakras today, probably not, so we'll do that on Tuesday. We're still in Health Psychology Tuesday?
Yes.
I'm like,
We're in the second week, so we got 2 more.
because the Blackboard survey threw me off.
Yeah, I know.
I'm like, wait a minute, it seems too early to do that, but
Yeah, the survey is open,
you
even
love
though it's
me
in the
now,
third.
you'll love me in 2 weeks. If you hate me now, you'll hate me in 2 weeks. So
Exactly.
I figure I'm safe either way.
It's even though it's in the third week, it's open now, and I think most of you already did it now.
Did everyone understand the link between the polytheistic aspects of God, having the notion that God is within, and why that helps us through those stories to understand the aspects of self? And why those traditions, and I'll tell you a little story in a minute, not that they're better, but why they're migrating to the West, and why so many people that are in so need of seeking are drawn to yoga and Hindu and Buddhism and stuff like that. That's the reason. Because it gives you a permission, an inherent permission to know that God is within and that there's aspects of self. Okay, so I really need to make sure you understand that. Now, you're not going to get a devout Christian and you're not going to use this language with your client, right? Right. But you know what's going on. Okay. First of all, Gilgamesh. Epic story. Highly recommended. It's a myth. There's a book, 100-some pages. Yeah, I think you told me you read it. I can bring it. So Gilgamesh is like the oldest sort of story and the oldest myth. And ironically, or not, it follows the astrological wheel if you pay attention to the way that the story unfolds. Lo and behold, writers, Joseph Campbell, The Hero's Journey, Jung, all of these people who have studied realize, and we've talked about this a little bit, where there's the hero, they get a call, they have a fall, they get into trouble, that follows. That is all archetypal, and it represents you and you and you and you and you and you and you, the human experience. So this idea that people are so lost in the human experience is a little interesting, because this is the oldest thing from the constellations that has ever been explained. The thing is, because of religion and because of all these other reasons, and because we've gone sort of off, there's something called the yugas. In Hinduism, there are time periods, and they're called yugas, Y-U-G-A. And there's 4 main yugas. And they're written in the texts, and they specifically describe the deterioration of society over the thousands of years, the 2,000 years of the Yuga. And we happen to be in Kali Yuga. And it is written, Google it, like word for word, sexual, family destruction, the family unit doesn't exist, there's a lot of promiscuity. I mean, it is written. And like that other trans-theoretical model, it goes around. When Kali Yuga ends, we start what's called Sattva Yuga, which is the era, Yuga's like era or time, of truth. It's like the golden age. And we cycle and cycle and cycle. And all philosophies talk about these things. So because as we get closer to those yugas and the more destructive yugas, we lose a lot of understanding about the self. And as we get closer and closer and closer to Sattva Yuga, then we're going to have more of an understanding about the self and all of these teachings. So, you guys are ahead of your time. So Gilgamesh is super old and kind of explains this story in a fashion that models the hero's journey and the astrological wheel. So we have, okay, I need help because I never know how to do it 12.
There you go.
There you go.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How do I make
One more.
another one here?
Yep.
Okay. And there's your wheel. The whole story, starting from here, is the hero and the call, and every piece of the story.
Oh, one more.
No, it's just, oh yeah, one more. Yeah, right there.
Here?
There,
Yeah.
yep. That's 12.
Okay. So everyone's wheel's going to look like this. Everyone's life. Now, we are not neat and orderly in this way. Like right now, I am living an 8th house experience. Okay, so I'm right now in that section of my pie. And you'll bounce around with your different archetypes. That's why it's not like this fluid thing, and that's what confuses people, but the flow is the flow. So these archetypes are based on these things. Okay? So what I want you to do is I want you to pick the 3 that most resonate. Did everybody pick the 3 that most resonate? Okay. The innocent, the caregiver, and the lover. Okay, put 7, 4, put 1 or 5. What did you pick? Put 12. What did you pick? Put 4, 12, and 9. Keep these numbers because when we do your wheel, you're going to see how they line up. Six. Yeah. Okay. Put 9. And when I see your chart, I might, that's why there's a few that can overlap. 7 and 8. Very interesting. What did you pick? Okay. 1, 11, and 12. 4, 7, and what's the deal here with that?
Because this one is the one that jumped out at me first. But then
Okay.
I had put this one, but then I was like, no, let me just. go
Okay,
with
5.
first.
4, 7, and 5. 6, 5, and 8. No. Pintar.
One more.
Pero pintar. Okay. Put 1, 7, 9. Okay.
Wow, those are some of those 3 numbers were the numbers in my dream. Those 3 numbers were in my dream.
1, 7, 9?
1, 7, and 9.
Wow.
There was 6 numbers in total, but those 3 were the main ones that even.
Well, play
like
the
one-
3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, so what happens is that all of this is rooted in the wheel. When I was looking at Carolyn Mace's website, it's so interesting. You can put her, I don't know what the website is, but if you Google Carolyn Mace, she has the wheel, and it's basically the astrology wheel. She has this cool thing that you do with the cards, where you do 3 levels of it, but it's the astrology wheel. Okay, so the first is Aries, then you have Taurus, then you have Gemini, and you have Cancer, and you have Leo, and you have Virgo, and you have Libra, and you have Scorpio, and you have Sag, and you have Capricorn, and you have Aquarius, and then you have Pisces. Okay. Who got 1? If you got 1, put Aries. Now you got the innocent, and that isn't a clear cut. That's what I'm going to want to check in your chart. But we're going to see what's either Aries or what's in the first house. It's going to be an emphasis. It could also be 4, but this is more caregiver. Okay, so things aren't exact. These are energies, but anyone got 2? No one got 2.
No, and I'm a Taurus, but no.
Okay. Anyone got 3? Okay. Oftentimes 3 or the hero will also be Aries, but again, it's just I'm seeing what's coming up. A lot of you got 4. Most of you got 4. Not a shock. The caregiver. This is the sign of Cancer, the moon, the nurturer, the mother, the boob, and what's the function of the boob? In the body.
Nurturing.
And who are you nurturing with the boob? Or your husband? Others.
Yeah, that's true.
Others. The boob has no function for you. Others. That's why we can chop off the boobs, as I will. So oftentimes when you have people that have like very dense breasts or big breasts, a sign of a nurturer, psychological organ, people that have big breasts. Does not mean that if you have tiny little breasts, you're not a nurturer. But oftentimes, there is a physical component. One of the biggest things is when you find Cancer on the ascendant. The person has very big breasts. Or a moon in Cancer, like me. Because their psyche is about nurturing the other. And so, for those of you who got this, a lot of your worth, a lot of your God that's outside comes in function of nurturing the other. So what the fuck happens when you're the one who gets sick and needs to be nurtured? A, or nobody needs you to nurture them. You're fucked. And then you go to Kali, who the fuck am I? So is it a coincidence that I have a recurrence of breast cancer, now need a double my 3 children all leave? Who the fuck needs me, people? Textbook. Textbook. Not only because I'm a nurturer, not only because, yes, you guys, yes, I was waiting for that, especially from you guys. I happen to be, and this is a little bit more, but just so you can see how it all works out, a 4th house sun, so I'm very much this, and I happen to have a moon in Cancer. So I have a double message in my psychological organs, because that's what this is. This is the map of your client's psychological organ, of all of these statues, of all the myths ever told. This is your fucking cheat sheet. It ain't that hard. Lucky for you, I can teach it. So, part of you, for those of you who are a number 4, and it doesn't mean that if you're not a number 4, your chart won't reflect that. We'll find where. Every single person in their chart has Cancer somewhere. And that is the sector where you will be the boob. That's just the way it is, okay? So, if you're a 4, part of your function is to nurture the other. Your God outside is the other, means you have codependency, means you're fucked, because the other gives you worth. And when there's no other to give you worth, you're fucked. And that is a skinny cow. And if you're lucky, the transits that are happening in your chart aren't so severe. I'm not that lucky. I'm being butchered. Butchered astrologically. Anyone who knows astrology would be like, fuck, how are you alive? Like, it's that bad. That's how bad this lesson has to come, okay? So this is an issue with this. So, like all, you have a 0 and you have 100. What is the 0 and the 100 of the nurturer or the caregiver?
Help others and selfishness.
Help others and selfishness. What's my definition of selfish? Wait. Okay, my definition.
Let's help the others, like
We were
once
looking
given
at
him
this
the
instead of looking at this.
No, my definition of selfish is when you take someone's power or you give your own power away. Because selfish, you're giving your power to someone, or you take it like many mothers do that don't let the kid fly. That's selfish. So, what did I tell you many weeks back between a lecture that I gave you, hint, the letter S.
Servitude and servant?
Servant versus servitude. Are you being a servant? Are you helping without crossing your own boundary? Are you helping but maintaining your own sense of self-worth? Then you're a servant. A++. Servitude, you're a slave and you're chained because what you want is someone to validate you. And you're fucked. But that's the math, and that's what most people in this field or drawn to this field are about. It comes from an origin story, oftentimes from caring from your own parents. You were the translator, you were the caretaker, you were the one that took them to the doctor, you had to translate for your little brother because your parents were immigrants and they didn't know the language, your father abused your mother so you had to protect her, etc., etc. Your mother was an alcoholic, you had to drag her in. If you have not seen Runaway Bride, phenomenal scene that captures it. She had no worth. And when she was walking down the aisle, she would run. Why? Richard Gere asked one question in that movie. Wonderful. He asked the guys that she left at the altar, how did she like her eggs? And they all said, oh, just like me. Thanks, Benedict. Oh, just like me, scrambled. Just like me. Who the fuck am I? I don't know. I mirror what others tell me to be. And in the movie, her father's an alcoholic. She's a grown woman. She goes to the bar. She drags him out of the van and takes him to bed. And she had been the caretaker all this time. And it wasn't until she leaves that environment, makes her own lambs, blah, 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 fast forward, and she marries Richard Gere. Happily ever after. Bye. Away.
Yeah, because we weren't supposed
The
to.
tragedy will come back. Forget it. So if you got 4, and I noticed a lot of people got 4. I also noticed a lot of people got lover. Okay. Who got creator?
I did.
Bisbee, how important are your children?
But we were going.
Too much.
We did
How important are your children?
very much. We did, but me and her, we did this kind of wrong, because we were going.
There's no wrong. We're doing this and then we'll get
we
to
were
that.
going
Don't
like
worry.
this, not this.
It doesn't matter. Your subconscious picked what you had to pick.
Yeah.
Don't. This is not logic, people. You're in the wrong field. You have to be with her in anatomy and physiology if you want logic. I am not logical. Your subconscious is not logical. This is the Divine Mother. No logic, but I explained why. With creators, it is very, very, very important that you birth something. Most often, it has to do with children. It could be with books. It could be with artworks. It could be with relationships. But there is a need to create. Okay? Oftentimes, these people tend to be destroyers or self-destructive or narcissists, and their egos are really big. They happen to be doctors.
That was very smooth.
So mad at it. Just saying. Because they represent the creator. Okay, so there has to be a facet of the 0 to 100 of the destroyer, because I told you to create, you destroy. How many of you were 6s? I think there were a few. I know Thisbe was one. What's the word they put? What was the word?
Orphan. The orphan.
The orphan. Okay. How many were 6s? Okay. So this makes sense for you guys. This is the healer.
The healer, yes.
This is the one that, it's like the orphan story that I shared the other day. That's the Chiron story. There is a very, very deep wound. And through your service to others, you're trying to find the antidote to your own wound. Okay? Oftentimes, just saying, there is algo más allá of importance, maybe that hence the eyes that you draw. She's very spiritual. Because you cannot believe that this is it. This is shit, so it can't be it. So I need to know there's something more. Okay? Yours came out, pero on point. Lovers, I saw a lot of lovers.
No me.
7. Trisha, Look at that. 1, 2, you two?
Yeah.
3, 4, 5 lovers in the room.
Good for them.
I'll show you the lover card from the Egyptian tarot. This is a very interesting thing. The lover is linked to Libra or the 7th house, but that happens to be the marital home of your parents. When we do family therapy, I have a whole theory called the Eros Gamos, the I, and the we, and I've talked a little bit, but I'll go more into it. And every single one of us creates the home. Our home mirrors the home of your parents.
What? I mean, no, not in my case.
When we get there, I'll show you. So the lover has a lot to do with the caretaker. Anyone get 4 and 7?
Yeah, I have 47.
4 and 7, 4 and 7, 4 and 7. This tends to be like that. Okay? I'm just giving you, we'll elaborate. Anybody get 8? Someone got 8. Okay, and I think Bisbee got 8. So two Broohies, magicians. But there's also secrets. So the magician is very psychic, but the magician is also very secretive and keeps things very close, because they have a fear of being found out. But there are sort of like powers, like mystical, Merlin-esque type things. Anyone get 9? A couple of you guys. 9. Okay, so that goes very well, those 8 and 9. So this was what, the seeker?
No, the sage.
The sage. Those tend to be the PhDs, the people that love to study eternally, the professors.
No wonder I didn't want that one.
Although she studies eternally, but she doesn't want to do that. These people tend to have more of a positive, or try to give a positive outlook, try to cheer you up, try to tell you it's going to be all right, try to like quote something, try to rah you. Okay? There's that tendency of lifting you up. There's a tendency. Anyone get 10? I don't think anyone got 10. You're the only one I think who got 11.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the rebel. And a few of you got jester. The jester is the fool. And you got that too? You didn't get the jester? Who else got the jester? Both? Okay. So oftentimes with the jester or the fool, there's a belief that you don't know enough, that you're not enough, that you have to keep going, that you're not ever really on solid ground. So there's a trust issue because you're never really on solid ground. I can show you, not today for time purposes, but visuals of these things so that you have a visual.
We're gonna do the chart, right? Like the actual.
Yeah. I just kind of wanted to give you an overview, okay? So all of these are archetypes that come from the astrology. Every single one. So for instance, just to give you a 0 to 100 of the lover, if you're a lover or marriage is really important, you can also be a fuckboy, a cheater, or never want to get married, right? You see, excuse me.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, you threw me off.
Yeah.
I understood where you were coming from. I didn't expect it.
My kids use that word.
Yeah.
My kids say, oh, he's a fuckboy.
Exactly my point. I'm just saying, I was with you.
I've got young
1000%
kids,
just
you
caught
know
me
what
off
that
guard.
is.
Just caught me
Shocked
off
that I
guard.
know what that is,
Exactly.
right?
That's all we were on the same page. I was like,
That's me trying to be young again.
relatable.
That's me trying to be needed.
Relatable.
That's me trying to be needed. taught me that. Now I could be the cool mom. Oh my God, they might love me. The boob. Everything has a reason. I mean, a few months ago, I wouldn't have been able to say that, but they taught me, so I know. So we see the 0 to the 100. Of the jester and the fool, there might be you know everything, or you try to know everything, but really you